On the phone, I do believe it is Herb Frierson, former state revenue commissioner and also former state representative many, many years and former coach. Are you coaching T-ball now or what?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm just got a few little loose ends to tie together every day, and that's about all I'm doing.
Well, look, I thank you for taking the time, and it's always good to talk to you. We were talking about this the last time we had you on. I think it was the exit interview from your former job, and I think you gave us a lot of advice then that this thing needed to be fixed. So you're following this, I guess. And what's a little bit of an analysis on where we're going with this?
Well, the legislature has yet to come up with an agreement on how they're going to resolve the issue at the Goodset warehouse. In the meantime, when I first started, they were shipping 3 million cases a year. Now they're shipping 4 million cases. They've added over 200 permittees in the same period of time. At about 2018 or 19, that warehouse was at capacity, what it was designed to do. Mm-hmm. So since 18, it's been running beyond capacity. They've done a lot of innovative things. They're trying to keep up with what they have, and they're struggling. And they're not going to be able to until there's something done, whether you renovate the existing and expand and renovate and automate, and make it a modern warehouse, or you do something else. Something's got to be done. And Ed Morgan told us back in 2012 that by 18 or 19 you would be at capacity, and sure enough, it was. And it's got a lot to do with the delays in products getting out and everything. Mm-hmm. And then you got the privatization crowd that I believe is putting out some disinformation, trying to confuse things.
Yeah. Well, tell me what you're talking about on that.
Well, on privatization, they want the state to give them that warehouse. All right, in an earlier life, I did a lot of real estate appraisal, and I understand cap rates. And anybody can go to the Department of Revenue's annual report, go to ABC, look at the amount of money that is invested to run the warehouse each year, look at the return on the invested rate, get you a conservative cap rate, and work it out, and you'll realize that it's an $800 million to $1 billion a year business in the current situation. So they want the state to give it to them. Well, they're going to give it to them. They can give it to me and you, Paul.
Yeah. Listen,
Herb, you got to sell it, and you're not. If you privatize it and you don't sell it, you've done a disservice to the taxpayer who's invested all this money and everything into this facility over the years.
Let me ask you a couple of questions here. Hang on. When you say that it's a billion-dollar business, and you and I have talked about this, and I think I want the audience to understand this. If you took 10 agencies in our state, the ones that handle poor people, pregnancies, disability, all of these things, they don't make money. This one is a hell of a revenue producer. And we're talking about putting some money into this because when we put that money into it, it's going to make more money. We have very few agencies that actually produce money, make money like the private sector.
There's two, the University Medical Center and the ABC warehouse. That's the two that produce revenue for the state. And so that on the privatization, if that's what they want to do it, but at least sell it and get what it's worth it. Or you could expand the existing facility, renovate it, modernize it. You could put in a receiving dock and an automated racking system and a shipping dock and eliminate a crew. Eliminate a whole shift. That's probably $1 million a year.
What was the cost factor you mentioned to me? You mentioned to me that that cost factor back then was about $50 million, but even if it's $80 million, it's still going to pay for itself, would it not?
I don't think you could do what needs to be done for 30 or 40 million or even 50. I think you're at a point now that with the inflation and the additional cost of construction and getting materials and everything, you're probably looking more at around 70 or 80 million to do what needs to be done. But something, whether it's just $50 million or $10 million, something's got to be done. Another alternative is if you don't like the idea of state government doing it, but you want to keep the revenue, you could get a private company to contract and run the warehouse and build a new warehouse and give them the authority to charge a per case fee to get a return on their investment.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be done. So there's a lot of options out there, everything from privatization to quasi-privatization to just fixing what you got.
Which one of those options are going to make liquor stay the same or be less expensive?
Right now, the current system, because it's subsidized by the taxpayers of the state of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, it's subsidized because there's a general fund appropriation made to run it. It's not the people who provide the juice have done a great job of lobbying the legislature not to charge a per case fee to run that thing. And if you did that, made it a special fund agency, it would be self-standing, and then it wouldn't be subsidized by the taxpayer.
Why can't
now it returns a tremendous amount of money to the general fund, and you can say, well, that's not subsidization. Well, yes, it is, because you have to go and get a new appropriation every year. If there's a special fund, you wouldn't have to. You'd still get an appropriation, but it would be the funds generated by that warehouse, not necessarily funds generated in other parts of the government.
Herb Frierson's my guess. But Herb, every state has a warehouse, do they not? Or am I wrong about this? Every state has a warehouse.
There's 17 control states to where they've set up to where the ABC system, the warehousing of liquor, and the wholesale distribution of liquor would be done by the state. There's 17 states do it that way. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the states are open states, and they have multiple private warehouses.
I've been doing this for a long time, and you have too, but I've never had some cohesive, unanimous decision by the people who do this and whose lives depend on this, the liquor store owners out there. They're kind of discombobulated. Some of them want this, some of them want that. They have been very vocal on this, so every once in a while somebody will speak up, but it's certainly no unified voice across the state.
No, it's not. It's not, and basically the hardest push that's come for something to be done has come from the commissioners, whether it was Chris currently, me, or Ed, or even Ed Bulow years ago. Everybody has pushed to, renovate, upgrade, expand that facility and make it better and and improve the return on investment. I mean, we're talking about eliminating a shift of 40 people or more.
Yep.
Just by putting in another dock and a receiving center and an automated racking system.
Is it true when you left there were only 4 days of work a week they were working? And why is that?
Yeah, but now they expanded to 5 days right about the time I was leaving. And I don't know, at times they still go out to 5 days. Now they're not currently. I'm not sure what's going on exactly right now, but that's a myth that they don't work more than 4 days a week. When they get behind, they'll add a day on and do the best they can. And the part about there being prisoners working out there, that's not entirely correct. The ones that are there and have been there in the past, I don't know if there's any there right now, but in the past, they were basically just working cleanup. They were cleaning up and assisting maintenance and stuff.
Wait a minute. You got former prisoners. Wait a minute. You got former prisoners at that facility cleaning up broken liquor bottles. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're current. They were in.
Okay, I got you. Hold on. I want to ask you a couple of other things. It's Herb Frierson, and we'll talk more coming up in just a moment or two. It's Trent as we get back to our interview with Herb Frierson, our visit. Appropriate music to enter the second phase of this visit. Now, I was there.
Herb. Real quick.
Go.
Let me clarify something real quick. I said that it was subsidized by the general fund. Here's why. If you go to a private company warehousing liquor in the state of Mississippi, they will charge probably around a 35% markup. The state of Mississippi only charges a 27% markup. And that's another example of how it's subsidized. Okay, I've got that done.
Well, I mean, I think we all know, but 601 on C Spire text line said I could go to Kentwood in Louisiana and get a fifth of Jim Beam for $13. In Macomb, the very same liquor is $20 in Macomb. Now, some of that might be because of just competition in the number of package stores around.
People are willing to pay it. Mississippi are bourbon drinkers.
Yeah.
And they're willing to pay it.
Market value, has something to do with that, yeah.
Yeah, the liquor store guy's going to make as much as he can. And if he sets it at $20 and people are coming in there buying it, he's going to leave it at $20.
You know, I don't want to say I'm being skeptical on this, but when everybody, and Trey was on yesterday, Trey Lamar was on, Chairman Lamar, we were talking about what some people want to just go on and put $100 million or more, and if they say $100 million, it's probably going to work out to be 150 or 175 million in a new facility. And to me, it sounds like a trophy being awarded to some other county in central Mississippi near the capital city on who's going to get that, and then bring home a trophy. But can we do it within the present facility? Is there room to expand, and can it be done there?
Well, yeah, you could. I mean, you could go in the back parking lot back there and put a high-rise like warehouse building, which would have an automated racking system in it and a receiving dock back there, and then you'd have to spend a lot of money upgrading the old existing warehouse, and that would free up a tremendous amount of space in it for future growth by doing that. So you can do it either way, but to me, if I think your greatest return on investment is a brand new facility that's automated with robotics and stuff like that in it. And I mean, they got one at Heaven Hill in Kentucky, Heaven Hill Distilleries. If they have to turn the lights on for you to see the warehouse to work, it's 100% automated. Now, I don't think the state of Mississippi can afford that.
Yeah, but
that's where warehousing is today in the private sector, and I think you could afford to do a lot of that stuff, and because your return on investment over a 20-year period of time would pay for it.
Is there anything to be said for having 3 centrally located warehouses, one in central Mississippi, north and south?
I think that your economy by scale is reached by having one facility.
Yeah.
When you go to 3 different facilities, you're gonna have 3 different liabilities to deal with.
So, my understanding was you've met with some of these folks. Have you given them some ideas on what you think is the best, or is just
through the years, yeah, we told them you could look. Number one, you could expand the facility you got. Number 2, you could build a whole new facility. Number 3, you could set it up like a lottery. If you don't want the state of Mississippi handling the liquor, but you want the $80 billion plus revenue it generates every year, you set it up like the lottery and you have a quasi business with a board of businessmen and running the warehouse for you. Or you could privatize. That, I've run all those options. In 4 years I was commissioner, we discussed all those options, the pros and cons of each one of them. And I mean, I think this will never happen, but one way you could solve it is if the governor would call a special session with nothing on the agenda but the liquor warehouse. And then you'd have to focus everybody's attention on it, and they have to deal with it. It's hard for ABC to compete with K-12 and IHL and the Department of Transportation and mental health and all their needs and everything. And so the liquor warehouse has not been a priority because of that, because it's competing against stuff that has a whole lot more, it's a lot more sexy to politicians than that.
Well, if we did it about 4 or 5 years ago, we would have this situation solved, though, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and to solve it now, you're looking at probably 18, 24 months before you get anything done.
That's exactly right. Herb's always good talking to you, sir. We miss you, and we thank you so very much for taking some time. Hurry up.
I want to commend DOR and ABC on the good job they've done in the last few years under some very difficult situations. I think they've done a good job, and people need to pay attention to that they are way over capacity, and it still works.
I got you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it very much.